Hello, everyone out there in the world who is here to learn English this morning. As you know, there's a timer, and we'll start when the timer gets down to zero in about 23 seconds. I'm just going to make sure everything is working. Looks like everything's working. Hey, we're going to have a lesson today about sports. I hope you're ready to learn a little bit about sports. I think it should be fun. We'll start, as I said, in just a couple of seconds. 3, 2, 1. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about sports. This is probably one of the big topics when you are learning English. There are so many people in the world that love watching sports and that love playing sports, and it is a relatively familiar topic for most people. I know we just recently watched the Olympics. I know there are several sporting matches every evening in every country in all different types of sports. So I thought it would be a good idea to do a lesson about sports. I'm sure you'll enjoy it, whether you are someone who watches a lot of sports, maybe you're someone who plays a lot of sports, or maybe you're just someone who's curious and wants to learn some words and phrases in English to be able to talk about sports. Before we get started, though, I do have to mention one thing. Eugene sent me some pictures last night, so I added 2 or 3 of them to this slideshow. This picture right here is of BMO Field or BMO Field in Toronto. It's where the Toronto Football Club plays, the Reds. And thank you so much, Eugene, for sending me some photos. I thought when I got up this morning, it was a nice surprise to see some photos. So I quickly added a few to the presentation. Remember, this lesson is all about you having good English conversations in the chat. If you do have a question, please use the form that I see is linked in the chat right now. It's also in the description below, by the way. And make sure you ask questions about the topic. Today's topic is sports, so I will skip questions that aren't related to the topic of sports. I do want to say hi, first of all, to Eugene. And again, thank you for the photos. Hi to Mickey and Julia and Sam, the Taiwanese. Hi, Sam. Good to see you. Audie is here. Linda, Norma, Maria C. Scrolling back. Wanda, Rod, the English teacher, is here. I know Paco-san is here. Norma, I think I'm saying names twice. Tony, Todd, and Dave, of course, are here to moderate the chat for us. Let me do one audio check. Sounds like everything's working great. Now I'm getting my earbuds all tangled up. Let's get this lesson started. I should say hi to Judith and Ario and a few other people. Mylene, Elsie, let me see here. David is here. And I should have worn my reading glasses this morning. Oh well. Let's learn some English words and phrases about sports. So the first picture is also from Eugene, and it's the phrase sports fan or the term sports fan. When you are someone who likes watching a certain sport, we say that you are a sports fan. And then we use the word fan in other ways as well. We'll say things like, are you a fan of football? Which basically means, do you watch football? Are you a fan of ice skating, which is an Olympic winter sport? And you might say, oh yeah, I'm a big fan. So a sports fan is someone who likes to watch a sport. You can see in Eugene's picture here, the stands are filled with sports fans. People have all worn red because the Toronto FC, their one uniform is red. So that is their team color. So they have worn red. All of the fans are there wearing red to support their team. And then we have something called a superfan. A superfan is someone who is really, really into a sport. In English, when you say someone is into something, it means they really, really like it. A superfan is more likely to dress up on game day. They're more likely to do crazy things. They might paint things on their faces. In university, sometimes superfans will, some guys will paint letters on their chest or other weird things when they go to a game. But a superfan is someone who really, really loves the sport that they watch. Of course, fans will cheer. One of the things that you do when you watch a game, whether you're at home or in the stadium, is that you will probably cheer when your team does well. You will say things like, yay. You will say things like, go, go, go. when the player on your team is about to score, and then you might just yell, yeah, or something like that when they do score. But you will definitely cheer when your team scores. So I have to mention this. This is a lesson from about 2.5 years ago, but I have redone the lesson. I've added a whole bunch of new words. I removed a couple of words. So if some parts of this lesson seem familiar to a few of you, not all of you were here 2.5 years ago, that is why. So a person who plays a sport, though, is called a player. Someone who watches a sport is called a fan or a spectator. We'll talk about that later. Someone who plays a sport is called a player. We have what are called professional athletes. Professional athletes are people who are so good at playing the game that they get paid to play it. Their job is to play a sport. When I was younger, there was a brief moment where I thought, oh, it would be so cool to be a professional hockey player, to be a professional athlete who plays hockey. But I don't think I was good enough. I never really pursued that dream. But could you imagine what it would be like to be paid to play the sport that you love playing? That must be a really cool experience. It must be a lot of fun to be a professional athlete. We also have amateur athletes. I'm sure many of us have been or are amateur athletes. In Canada, it's quite common for people to play volleyball one night a week. People play hockey. We call it the rec league, recreational league. People play soccer or football, as you might call it in your country, in the summer. There are a lot of amateur athletes in Canada, and I'm sure in your country as well. People who play a sport just for exercise and for enjoyment, and they don't get paid. They don't get paid anything. When you play a team sport, you are on a team. There's a difference between individual sports like running and those kinds of things, and team sports like football or hockey or basketball or volleyball, where you have teammates. So a team is a group of people who all wear the same uniform usually, and they play the same sport together. And this can be amateur or professional. You can be on a team as a professional athlete, and as an amateur athlete, you can be on a team as well. And then again, I mentioned the word teammates. Teammates are the other people who are on your team. This is the Phoenix Mercury. It is one of the teams in the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association. And the woman in the middle, the player in the middle, is Kia Nurse. She's one of my favorite players on that team. She's Canadian. I really, really like her. But a starting lineup, whenever a professional or amateur team plays against another team, the players who start the game are usually your best players. And that group of players is called the starting lineup. So when there is a basketball game, there are 5 players on the starting lineup. They start the game. When you go to watch a football game or soccer game, there are 11 players, I think, who are on the starting lineup. Those are the players who usually they're the best players. Most of them are usually the best players on the team, and they make up the starting lineup. Sometimes, depending on the sport, the team will have a captain. In hockey, the captain of the team is not the coach. The captain is a player who kind of leads the team in terms of keeping them happy and kind of demonstrating good behavior. In hockey, the captain usually has the letter C on their jersey. You can see on his hockey jersey, he has the letter C. This means that he is the captain of the team. So the captain, again, doesn't show the players how to play, but the captain kind of leads in a way where they kind of show, they're like a model player. Usually they're a veteran player or a really good player, and they kind of lead the team in that sense. They give direction on how to be excited, how to act in a positive way, in those kinds of things. And we have, of course, a coach. A coach is a person who decides how to train the team. The coach decides who will play and who will sit on the bench. The coach decides what strategies a team is going to use in order to try and win. The coach basically prepares the team before the game and then makes decisions during the game so the team can do the best that they can. Again, a coach does not play. A coach usually wears a suit and tie. In a lot of sports, a coach will dress very, very nicely. And they will be on the sidelines or on the bench or off to the side of the field, and they will give advice to the players and make decisions about how to best try and win the game. We, of course, depending on the sport, you will have referees or umpires. There's a bunch of different names for the people who make sure all the players follow the rules of the game. Every sport that you play has rules, and it's important that everyone follows the rules, but humans are humans, and sometimes we break rules, either intentionally, like we decide to break the rule, or by accident. You just accidentally step off the field, or you accidentally trip someone, and then the referee or umpire will probably blow a whistle. I think I have a whistle up here. We'll look at that in a sec. And they will stop the game, and then they will either penalize one of the teams. There might be a foul or a card or something like that. But a referee or umpire usually makes sure the game goes smoothly. One thing to note, in North America, we usually call referees refs and we call umpires umps. So we shorten the words. The words aren't that long, but so you might hear people in the stands say, come on, ref, that was a bad call. Or you might hear at a baseball game, you might say, come on, ump, that was a strike. So you might hear people use the short forms of those two words. Referee becomes ref, umpire becomes ump. So depending on the sport and what country you live in, there are definitely times when you play a game, but there's also times where you practice. In Canada, we usually refer to when a team gets together on a non-game day to work at becoming better at the sport. We call it a practice, or we call it training. So oftentimes a team will have a few games each week, but they will also have times where they go to practice or where they have training, where they just get together with the other players and coaches and they improve their skills. So they might practice dribbling if it's basketball. They might practice shooting if it's basketball, shooting the ball if it's football, or hockey. They might practice skating drills. They might do a whole bunch of things so that they become better at the sport. I think I'm going to do some questions right now. I have to keep moving with this lesson though, because there are a lot of vocabulary words in this lesson. So let me do a sound check first. Yes. And then let's get to some questions on this. Please excuse me if I shortchange the question time in this lesson, because we have a lot of stuff to get through. Let's see here. Let's get to the first question from Ruslan. Hi, dear teacher Bob. If you were going to be a professional, what kind of sport would you choose and which would you never choose? Have a nice weekend, sir. So I would like to say hockey, but I think one of the coolest sports that you can play for a long time is volleyball. Sports like hockey and American style football are very hard on the body. Hockey players often have really sore knees or other injuries after they play for a long time. And American football players have the same problem. But I think a sport like volleyball, it's a non-contact sport. So hockey is a contact sport. You hit people in hockey. American football is a contact sport. Rugby is a contact sport. Those sports, you tend to get lifelong injuries or little injuries that bother you after you retire. But I think something like volleyball would have been a fun sport. And then what would I never choose? Ski jumping. I would never become a ski jumper. I would never want to go down a hill and fly through the air. That just does not interest me. Let's see here. Hi, Bob. What kind of sport can you do where must is needed? I'm not sure what that is. Give me a second here. Not sure. Yes, sorry. I don't know, Judith, what MUSTH is. Maybe in the chat you can explain the question a little more and then I will understand it. My brain is a little slow this morning. Nat says, good morning, Bob. What kinds of sports do you like? Do you usually play? And can you tell me some kinds of sports that are popular in Canada? Little fix there. So I have played soccer, what some of you call football. When I was in high school, was on the track and field team. So I did running, I did sprinting, and I did long jump and triple jump. And I've played some hockey, but not a lot. I don't play anything now. I go for a walk. That's the sport. That's my sport now, going for a walk and walking so that my heart rate gets high enough for it to be exercise. And then in Canada, the two most popular sports are probably hockey and soccer. Yaroslav, morning teacher Bob, are you a sport person? I do like to watch the Toronto Raptors, which is the men's basketball team, the NBA team in Toronto. And Jen and I have been watching the Phoenix Mercury, which is the women's basketball team in Phoenix, Arizona. So I have been a bit of a sports fan during the pandemic. We'll see if that continues. We'll see. Ario says, hola, Mr. Bob, is soccer a game available on your computer? Do your children like to play soccer online games? I used to play it with my late papa. No. Sorry, soccer is available. You can play the FIFA series. There's a number of different soccer games, but it has never been a popular video game in our house. We have not really played a lot of sports games. I know some people really enjoy playing sports video games, but I have not, and my kids don't usually play them. Furman, hello, Mr. Bob. What sport do you think is the most dangerous for health? I would say if you're talking about team sports, I would say sports like hockey and American football. I think they're not dangerous, but they are definitely very physical games. Rugby as well, a very physical game where there's lots of contact. Remember, I'm only going to answer questions that are on topic, so I might skip yours. From Kurdish, hi Bob, have you ever watched mixed martial arts? Do you think that MMA should be banned? I have watched a little bit of it. I'm not sure what my opinion is on boxing and mixed martial arts. Some people feel that sports where people fight each other are not good sports. I do find them entertaining. So I have watched them. I'm not a fan. I don't watch them regularly, but certainly I think they're very interesting to watch for sure. And then even at the Olympics, when you watch judo or wrestling, those types of sports are very they're very interesting to watch. Henry from Taiwan. Let's see here. So it's a periodic frenzy of the male bull elephant connected with the rutting season. That is a word I did not know, Judith. So I'm reading from the chat. Now I know. Okay, Henry says, hi, Teacher Bob. Is there a chain sport goods store in your town? I love spending time discovering bargains for hiking gear. Thank you. So we have what are called Bass Pro Shops, which have a lot of gear for doing outdoor things. And we have a store called Sport Check, which has a lot of equipment for doing different types of sports. So there's a bit of an overlap there, depending on what kind of sport you're going to do. If you wanted to find something to play hockey or baseball or something like that, you're better off going to a store like Sport Check. Let's see here. Lemon Cute says, hi, Bob. Have a great day. You too. What kind of sports do you like the most? Yeah, I think right now it's basketball. We used to watch NASCAR, which is car racing. It's a motorsport, but I haven't been watching that as much lately. But I have been watching some basketball. It is fun to get to know the players on the team a little bit. Like you get to see their abilities and their skills. And it's really cool when you watch basketball because they score a lot. That certainly makes that sport interesting. Next question from Prabjot. Hi, Teacher Bob. What is your favorite sports in this age? And what is your country's most famous sport? Thanks a ton in advance. Have a marvelous day. So we're going to say basketball, favorite sport right now. And then Canada is famous for hockey, but we also play a game called lacrosse. Lacrosse is a game where you run on the field with a stick and there's a small ball that you throw back and forth. That is a fairly popular sport here as well. Maria, hello, Bob. Do you use the word soccer or football in Canada? In Canada, soccer is the game you play with the round black and white ball on a soccer field. Okay, so we use the word soccer. In Canada, when we say football, it means American style football, where they throw the ball and the ball is shaped more like it's not round. So I often try to say soccer, what you might call football in your country, when I talk about soccer. Let's see. Next question from Arthur. Hi, teacher. Is hockey really famous in Canada, as people said? And what does the term hockey puck mean? Thank you a ton. Oh, there's some cats fighting outside. I'm not sure if you could hear them. There's a little bit of martial arts going on outside between a couple of cats. So hockey is definitely a very popular sport. I mean, we even have Hockey Night in Canada, which is a night when there's multiple hockey games on TV. We have a channel called CBC, which is the Canadian television station, and there's usually hockey on almost every night during the winter. So it's definitely, and then a hockey puck is the round black thing that they use when they play hockey. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, I'm not sure if you guys could hear the cats fighting. Oh, I should get back to the lesson though. Let's do one more question. Freddy Le Français. Hi, Bob. I have never understood the rules of baseball. Would it be possible for you to explain the rules in outline? Thanks a lot, and I wish you a very nice day. Simply put, one team plays defense and they're out on the field. The other team sends one player at a time to try and hit a ball and make their way around the bases to score. They basically have 3 chances to do that. And then from there, I'm not going to go into too many details, but it's a fun game. It's a really fun game to see live. Like if you go and see a game, I think you would really, really enjoy it. Okay, let's get back to this lesson. So when you have, where am I here? I've lost my spot. You practice a lot so that you can play a game or play a match. Depending on the sport you're playing, it will possibly have a different name. In Canada, sometimes people use match, sometimes people use game. Game, I think, is the general term for a time when one team plays against someone else or a person plays against someone else. If you do something wrong in a game, there will most likely be a whistle. Referees and umpires usually have a whistle in most sports. Some sports they don't. They just need to yell really loudly. But if you hear a whistle in a soccer game, play will stop, and then the referee will make a decision whether someone is getting a warning or a yellow card or a red card, or maybe it's just offsides or another rule has been broken, and they blow the whistle to kind of remind everyone of the rules and restart the game. So I mentioned these words a bit earlier. People who watch the game are called fans. When you're at the game, you're called spectators, or you're just called the crowd. So the crowd cheered or the spectators cheered. So if you are at a game and you are watching a game, you're part of the crowd that's watching the game, or you're one of the spectators. You're part of the spectators who are watching the game. Let me get a sip of water here. Oftentimes, spectators or the crowd at a game will wear the colors that their team normally wears. You'll see in this picture they're wearing, it looks like yellow and some purple for the team that they are cheering for. And you will sit in the stands, which I think is short for the word grandstand. But these are either called stands or bleachers, okay? When you go to a game, if it's inside of a building or if it's outside, it will usually have stands or bleachers. I think bleachers are smaller than stands. Like at our school, we have bleachers in our gym. Basically, it's row seating. There's not chairs. There's like these benches row on row, and you sit in the stands or you sit in the bleachers when you cheer on whatever team you've gone to watch. The bleachers are sometimes really hard and your butt gets a little sore. So people often bring a small cushion if they're going to sit on the bleachers for a long time. So we have two terms. We have home. When you go to watch a game, if I go to Toronto to watch a game and I'm watching the Toronto Maple Leafs, they are the home team. The home team is the team that's playing in the stadium or on the field that is in their city. The opposite of home is either the away team, the guest team, or the visiting team. So we could say the away team, the visitors, the guests. We often in Canada use home and away. You can see on this scoreboard, there's a spot for the home team's score, and there's a spot for the away team's score. But you can also use guest or visitor. You'll see variations of this. But again, the home team is the team that's playing in their home city, in their home stadium. So let's talk about where people play. People play sports in stadiums. People play sports in arenas. So a stadium is a common place to go for American football, generally referred to as a stadium. And then an arena is generally used for hockey. So you go to a hockey arena to watch a hockey game. Look at how nice that ice looks. It's very, very smooth. Baseball games are usually played at a park or ballpark. So it's not really a park, but it's very green and it looks a little bit like a park, but its main purpose is for people to play baseball. So you will go to a ballpark. You might go and watch a game on a court. So you might watch tennis or basketball. There are a lot of sports that are played on a court, which is just a surface that's prepared with the proper lines for that sport. You can see this is a basketball court and it has the lines of the court, the center line, the 3-point line, the foul line. So you might watch a game that is played on a court, or it might be played on a field or pitch. By the way, this picture is also from Eugene. This is of BMO Field, where the Toronto FC play. So thanks again, Eugene. I think that's the third and last photo that I used from Eugene, but thank you. But you would call this a field. Notice I said it's BMO Field. In England, in Canada, we say BMO, but it's the Bank of Montreal, I think, BMO. So this is BMO Field where the Toronto FC play. In different parts of the world, you might call it a pitch as well. You play on the soccer pitch or the football pitch. I mentioned earlier that there's something called motorsports. Motorsports are sports where you drive either race cars or motorcycles or some sort of vehicle in order to try and get first place. Some people think that motorsports aren't real sports, but there is a word in English, motorsports, which makes me think that they are a sport. So you might watch Formula One, you might watch IndyCar. In North America, there's something called NASCAR. I'm sure in your part of the world, there are different kinds of motorsport with different kinds of vehicles. And they would, of course, have their competitions on a racetrack. A racetrack is like a road, but it's specially designed to go usually in a circle, and it's there so that people can go in a race and they can do their motorsport. When there is a game, there is almost always a score. I just put 3-1 here for fun, but there's usually a score. In English, common phrases would be, what's the score? Or did you see the game last night? Yeah, what was the final score? The score is the number of goals or points that a team has gotten versus the other team when they're playing. So when you watch a football game or soccer game, I'm using football as soccer right now, the score is usually something like 3-1 or 5-2 or 2-0 or 1-0. But when you watch something like basketball, the score is usually 102-90 or 97-78. Basketball, it's a fun sport. People score a lot. And then you have a scoreboard as well. So you can see on this scoreboard, it's 31-17. I would imagine they're playing American football. That's the kind of score you would see on a scoreboard when you watch American football. But you can see a scoreboard is a big lighted board that will show you what the score is when you watch a sporting event. Oftentimes, when you go to see a game, it's nice to sit in a place where you have a clear view of the scoreboard. Sometimes you go to a sporting event and the scoreboard is far away, or you're sitting somewhere where you can't see it. I like to be able to see the scoreboard so that I know what the score is. Now, I talked about the score. Depending on the sport that is being played, you will score a goal, you will score a point, you will get a point, you will get a goal. There's a number of ways to refer to it. But generally, in most sports, the reason you play is to get points or to score goals so that you can get more goals or points than the other team and you can win the game. So in this shot, you can see this girl is about to kick the soccer ball. She is going to try and get a goal so that her team can get another point. Notice I do kind of flip goal and point around a lot. That's fairly common when talking about sports. And of course, you want to win. You want to win the game. You want to get a win. Notice there's a verb and a noun version. So a team can have 7 wins. So that's the noun. They've won 7 times. When you play a game, you want to win the game. So to win is the verb form. So the goal of a team is to win. That's the goal. That's a lot of times people say it's not important to win. It's just important to have fun. But in professional sports, I think it's also important to win. And of course, the opposite is a loss. Okay, so if you have 7 wins, you might have 3 losses. That would be a pretty good record. And then I think I don't have the verb form, but the verb form is to lose. Okay, so L-O-S-E. So the noun is a loss. The verb is to lose. And then sometimes you have a tie. I think this might be called a draw in some sports, but a tie is when each team has the same number of points or each team has the same number of goals. Sometimes people are disappointed with a tie. I'm usually a little bit disappointed when a game is tied. Let's get over to, let's see here. First, I want to say thank you to the 428 people watching. So awesome to have you here. Let me do one small change here. We're going to go to members only chat for a bit. And I'm going to continue to answer questions from the general public as well. First one's from Mickey. So first of all, if you are a member and you would like to ask a question, you may do that in the chat right now. Members are people who have clicked the join button below to support me and my channel. And one of the rewards is that you get to ask questions during members only chat during each live stream. Audie says, hi, Teacher Bob. No question. Just tell you, I love to play sports as windsurfing, yachting, mountain biking, marathon running, tennis, and all those. I had trophies and medals. Very cool. So you did them competitively and you were able to win. Very, very cool. Let's see here. Did I just skip a question? Let me go back here. I think I might have just skipped a question. Mickey, hey Bob, today my question is, what's the sport that people like the best in Canada? Probably hockey. What are the teams you pull for? I do like the Toronto Raptors, the Toronto Maple Leafs. People tend to be a fan of the teams that play in the city closest to them. Usually professional sports teams are located in big cities because you need a lot of people to come and watch the games. So I like those 2 teams. Eugene sent me pictures of the Toronto FC, the Toronto Football Club. I have not watched any of those games. I should probably do that. That would be fun. And Prabjot, which sports are famous in your country? Definitely hockey. When the Winter Olympics come, the Canadians are always trying to win. Our favorite team to beat is the Russian team in a good sense. We really like winning. And Russia is usually one of our biggest rivals. Russia has really good hockey players as well. Let's see here. Next question from Yuan Dong. Hi, Bob. Thank you for all the wonderful lessons. Can you tell us some sports you played during your childhood? Do you still play them now? Thanks again. No, so in grade school, in elementary school, I played all the normal sports. We played baseball, we played soccer, we played volleyball, we played basketball, we played a lot of different sports. When I was older, I did a lot more of the individual kind of sports. Okay, let me jump over to the chat. Naomi T, hi, Teacher Bob. What was your favorite sport as a kid? You know, Naomi, when I was really young, there was a period of time where I really liked playing baseball. But then I slowly moved into, just running and jumping, doing track and field type stuff. I did play soccer though. That was fun too. Linda, dear Bob, I don't know much about sports, but I do know what makes a baseball stadium stay cool. The fans. So that's a little play on words there, because a fan is someone who watches a sport, but a fan is also an appliance that blows air on you. Key Park, hi Bob, can referee be called a judge? Thank you. Yes, in some sports, you will have a judge or a line judge. Good point, Key Park. It depends on the sport, what the name is. Lolly says, bonjour, does one of your children want to become a professional athlete? None of my kids have any desire to do that at this point, but some of them do really enjoy playing different sports, so we'll have to see. Freddie Wolf, hi Bob. In which position did you prefer to play in soccer? Did you play as a goalkeeper? Did you play like the Pulga, Lionel Messi? By the way, he now plays Paris Saint-Germain. Do you like also Formula One? I do like Formula One. I don't watch it very often. When I played soccer, I played defense or fullback. I've always liked playing defensive positions in any sport I've played. I'm not someone who tries to score goals. I like stopping the other team. Sam the Taiwanese, hello Teacher Bob, how are you doing? Have you ever been to a live NBA game? If you did, please share with us the experience of being in a live NBA game. No, I haven't, but we really want to go to one this winter, but tickets are very expensive right now. Seating is limited, so we'll see. I'll let you know if I do, Sam. Julia, hi teacher, didn't you ever think that your farm area is fit for playing golf? It is almost, but that would require that we mow a lot of grass. So we'll wait and see on that one. Maria C, hi Bob, how are you? I don't have a question, but I wanted to tell you that this is a very interesting lesson, and thanks a lot for all you do for us. Have a beautiful day. Thanks, Maria C. It's no problem. I do think when you look at popularity of lessons, anytime an English teacher talks about money or sports, those are very popular topics because I think we all need money and we all like sports. Marcos, when I was younger, I used to practice biking and skating, and for a short amount of time, I played volleyball. Very cool. Very, very cool. I wasn't tall enough to keep playing. Mickey, hi Bob, what's the difference between work out, not at a gym, and work on? Could you give us 2 examples? So you can work out a problem. So when you work out a problem, it means like if you have a math problem, you can work out the answer. So you kind of figure out what the answer is. And then when you work on something, it just means you do it. Like later today, I'm going to work on cleaning this room. This room needs to be clean. I'm going to work on that. Merci Bob from Lolly. Norma says, hello Bob. I think swimming is a beautiful sport and it is very healthy. You know, this lesson is very much focused on team sports. I wonder if I should do a lesson in a month or 2 on individual sports. I'll think about that. But thanks, Norma. Yes, I think swimming is a beautiful sport as well. It's very good for your body. If you compare swimming to rugby, swimming is a little kinder on your body for sure. Key Park says, I hated running when I was young, but now I enjoy running very much. That is something that I wish I could do that. I like walking, but running, I did run for a bit when I was younger. I used to run in 5K races a couple times a year. I should get back into that at some point. Guhan Zone has been a member for 5 months and says, hello, Mr. Bob. How are you? Looks like winter is near. It does. It was very cool last night. I think it was 7 degrees. Marcos, I know that as a Brazilian, I should love soccer, but I don't. Sorry about that, fellas. Yes, that's very brave of you to admit that in public, Marcos. Some countries are known for certain sports. If I said that I didn't really like hockey, as a Canadian, that's considered not a good thing to say. And I think Marcos saying that he doesn't actually like soccer, or saying that he should love soccer. So he probably likes it a bit, but he doesn't love it. Mickey says, do you consider fishing and hunting sports? Yeah, we would call those sports, because you go to a sporting goods store to buy the equipment to do that, but a kind of a different kind of sport, isn't it? Kind of an outdoor sport. Yuan Dong, I heard that snowboarding is a wonderful sport many Canadians enjoy. Do you do it? So you would do snowboarding, not play it. So no, I like downhill skiing, but I have not done a lot of snowboarding. I think I tried it once and I kept falling down. Cecilia, I agree with you, Norma. My brother is an open water swimmer. And Julia says, thank you, dear teacher. I think I want to try golf sometime. I have gone golfing. It is enjoyable, but it is an expensive hobby or sport. It's quite costly to go golfing in Canada. Mickey, hey Bob, what's the hockey team you pull for? So in Canadian English, we would say, what hockey team are you a fan of? Or what hockey team do you cheer for? And I would say the Toronto Maple Leafs. Although I do like the Montreal Canadiens. I used to watch a lot of Montreal Canadiens hockey because I could watch the broadcast in French. So I keep saying Toronto Maple Leafs, but I've probably watched more Montreal Canadian games. Freddie Wolf, hi Bob. Are you bowling and bowls quite popular in Canada? Thanks and have a great day. Bowling is quite popular with older folks. A lot of people will still be on a bowling team and they'll go to the bowling alley once a week to play a game. Guhan, soccer or football, it depends where you live. In Canada, we usually call it soccer. Although if you noticed, I said Eugene sent me photos of the stadium where the Toronto FC plays, which is the Toronto Football Club. But they don't play American football, they play soccer. So generally in Canada, we say soccer. Professor Arlon Joanne. Hi, Professor Arlon. Hey there, Professor Bob. I think bodybuilding is a beautiful sport, but is very hard to do because it's more like a lifestyle. By the way, you're the best. Well, thank you. I would agree. Weightlifting, bodybuilding, you need a lot of time, and you need to have a lot of time to spend at the gym to get in shape. Key Park says, I assume badminton is a beautiful sport. Badminton is a cool sport as well. I do really like badminton. Hey, let's get back to this lesson. Let me just make a small change to the chat. We'll go back to subscriber mode. As I do that, I want to say hi to the 387 people watching. And by the way, if you're new here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button. And thank you to all my members, everyone who has joined as a member in the past. That is awesome of you. Thank you for thanking me in that way. I appreciate it. Okay. Overtime. Sometimes when there is a tie, depending on the sport, there might be overtime. Overtime is extra time in the game where each team tries to win. So you can see here the score is 14-14. You can also see this scoreboard says home and guest. The last scoreboard said home and away. But this game is tie, and they might then have overtime. It really depends on the sport. Some sports you're allowed to end in a tie. Other sports sometimes have overtime or multiple overtimes until someone wins. And they might even have a shootout. That's where each team takes turns having one player shoot on the net or try to score in order to find out who the winner is. Players who don't play are usually on a bench. They literally sit on a bench in some sports, but these players have chairs. Even if it's all chairs, we still call it a bench. And people will even describe themselves as, you know, oh, I play for this team, but I'm a bench player, or I'm on the starting lineup. So a bench player is someone who doesn't start the game. So a bench player is someone who starts the game sitting and probably gets subbed in later. Most teams will have a uniform. Here you can see this uniform is for a baseball team. They have a helmet. Probably they only wear the helmet when they're doing the batting. And then they have, obviously, all of the uniform is in the team colors. And then you need equipment. I didn't talk about cricket at all, but cricket is one game where you need certain kinds of equipment. in order to play the game. You need certain gloves, you need a bat, you need padding as well. So some sports require equipment. Some sports require a lot of equipment. One of the reasons that hockey is an expensive sport to play is that you need a lot of equipment to play hockey, whereas soccer is a little bit cheaper to play because you don't need as much equipment. You need a good pair of shoes and maybe one other piece of protective gear. Sometimes when you play a sport professionally, you will have a sponsor. You can see this car is sponsored by Michelin. If you look at the very front of the car, you see the word Michelin there. So it looks like the Michelin tire company is one of the sponsors. A sponsor is someone who gives money so that a sport can exist, okay? So many teams are sponsored by different brands in the world. Different companies will sponsor a team. And then often a professional team will play in a league like the National Football League or the European Football League, which are both different kinds of football. But a league is a group of teams where everyone is at the same level or very close in skill level, and they play against each other repeatedly until someone proves themselves to be the best team. If you are in a league, you will have a schedule. So maybe you have a 14-game season or a 90-game season. You have a schedule that shows every day when you are going to be playing that game. And you have a season. So different sports have different seasons. The NBA, the basketball league in North America, their season starts in about 5 or 6 days. I think the Raptors play their first basketball game on October 20th, and their season goes to mid to late spring. That's their season. The National Football League, the NFL, their season started in September, and it goes to about the second week of February when they have the Super Bowl, one of the biggest championship games in the world. So when you play a sport, especially a professional sport, you usually have a season. And then as you play through your season, there are standings. So this is a list of the teams in order of who's doing the best down to who's doing the worst. So the team at the top has the most wins. The team at the bottom has the fewest wins and probably the most losses. So that's what we would call the standings. So teams are always trying to move up in the standings. If they lose a game, they might move down in the standings. You always want to move up in the standings. Sometimes you have a regular season, but you might also have a tournament. So our teams at school, our school sports teams, they have a regular season. They play about 10 or 15 games, but every once in a while on a weekend, they'll go to a tournament. A tournament is outside of their season. The games don't count towards their standings, but it's just a day to go and play against a bunch of other teams, one after the other. Tournaments are pretty fun. COVID has made them pretty much impossible right now. I don't think we go to tournaments right now, but a tournament is a fun thing to do. It's usually over a weekend or a long weekend. And then, of course, at the end of a season, you have playoffs where different teams play each other. When you are in playoffs, if you lose, you are probably out. When you're out, it means that your season is over. So there's a regular season. At the end, there's a time when teams, the best teams, maybe the top 4 or the top 8 teams, start to play each other until they determine who is the best. And that usually happens in the finals or the championship game. So the very last game of the season determines the winner of the whole season. And it's usually called the finals or the championship. Now, it might be a series. Many times it's best 3 out of 5, best 5 out of 7. So in hockey, they usually play during the playoffs, they play 7 games, and you need to win 4 of the 7 games. So best 3 out of 5, best 4 out of 7. I think I said 5 out of 7. But usually it is a best of. So it is a series of games where you try to find who is the best. And then here, just a couple of things to wrap up the lesson. When the ref blows the whistle, you might get a penalty. In some sports, you might get a card. in other sports. If you do something really bad, you might be ejected from the game. When you're ejected, it means that you're asked to leave the building while the game is still being played. You have to do something pretty serious to be ejected from a game. And then finally, if you do something really bad, you might get a suspension. A suspension means that you probably get ejected and then you can't play the next game or maybe the game after as well. Often when players do something bad during the game, or even if they do something in life, like if they get arrested or they get caught doing something illegal, they will get a suspension and they will not be able to play. Hey, that is the end of the lesson. Let me just check the audio and I will answer some questions. Let's answer some questions for the next 10 minutes and then wrap this up. Let me get the questions on the screen. Joanne says, hi, Bob. Can you help me to make clear the term manager and coach in soccer? Do they have the same meaning? Many thanks. So depending on the sport, in some sports, the coach is also called the manager. So it's really tricky. I'm not sure in soccer. In hockey, the coach is the person who sits with the players during the game and tells them how to play and decides who's going to play. A manager is involved more with the business decisions. But in baseball, the manager is actually the coach. So it really depends on the sport, and I don't know the answer with soccer. Next question from Winter Wright. Hi, Bob. Do you have any extreme sports you like and want to try? No, I don't want to. I do not want to go parachuting. I do not want to go parasailing. I don't want to go freestyle rock climbing or anything like that. There is no extreme sport. I don't want to do any motocross or what do they call it? Roller skating. None of those. Let's see. I'm going to skip the next one. It's a little controversial, so I'm going to skip it. Alex says, hey, Professor Bob, I practice MMA. How can I say it in English? I just spell the letters. Is there a special word to refer to this sport? Have a nice day. We call it MMA. So it's mixed martial arts, but we would say that, what's his name? Conor McGregor. He's an MMA fighter. We just say MMA. He fights in the MMA. He's an MMA fighter. Did you see the MMA game or match the other night? Match, we would say. But yeah, we just say MMA. Next question from Aryan. Hello, Mr. Bob. I'm from Bangladesh. My question is, have you ever played cricket? Have a good day. I have not, but cricket is becoming more and more popular in Ontario, Canada. So I think I should find a way to learn how to play cricket because it looks really, really fun to me. It looks like a game that someone my age could play. I can still run and hit something with a bat. I think I could do it. Is it called a bat? A cricket bat? I think so. Robson, could you explain the baseball rules for us? I'm Brazilian and I don't understand nothing about it. Maybe you make a video. You know what we should do? I don't think Brent is here. Maybe I'll email Brent and say, Brent, you should really, maybe Brent would be a better person because Brent is American. Brent is from American English with this guy. I'll send Brent an email and say, maybe we'll do it together. We'll try to explain baseball. We'll make a video and he can put it on his channel. Very tricky to explain baseball to someone. Let's see here. Hello, Bob. I've been reading that there are a lot of medical measures in Canada. How are things with sports for school children? So in my province, things are not back to normal, but things are going really well in terms of the pandemic. School children can play sports. There are no fans are allowed to watch sports yet, though. So last year we were not able to have school sports. This year we have school sports, but there are no people watching the sport. So that's a step in the right direction. And I think soon we will be able to have fans and spectators again. But yeah, things are slowly getting better in Canada. Joseph. Hi, Teacher Bob. I wish you a fantastic morning. What is the difference between sport and athlete? So sport is what you play. The athlete is the person who does it. Ira says, Hi, Teacher Bob. Do you think extreme sports are useful? They're fun to watch. I would never do them, but sometimes on a Saturday afternoon, there will be a sport on, and it is a lot of fun to watch different types of sports. Rod the Brazilian. Hi there, Bob. Is Canada into motorsports? I will move to Ontario next year. Hope to be your neighbor. Thanks for the class. Well, Rod, we will gladly welcome you. Although, is this Rod the real Rod? Because I didn't think Rod was planning to move to Ontario. We'll see. I'll find out later. But yes, we have motorsports in Canada. In fact, my one brother works on a team, not a professional team, but he helps keep the car running. He knows a little bit about car mechanics, so he helps a race team during the summer. Munir says, hi, Bob. How are you? What is the meaning of cheer? It's when you go, yay, or go team. That means you are yelling things to support your team. Victor, hi, Bob. Do you know something about native lacrosse culture in Canada? I do not know a lot about it. I do know that the game of lacrosse is a very cool game that is played by many high schools in Canada. Our school does not have a lacrosse team, but I have watched a lot of lacrosse teams. It's a very cool sport that has been gifted to us in Canada. It's very, very cool to see a sport like that with a cool cultural background played so much. Let's see. Hassan, hi, Bob. How are you? What is the kind of sport that you think is good for our health? I think I'm going to go back to, in the chat, someone mentioned swimming. Sorry, I don't remember who that was, but I think swimming, I'm scrolling back. I'm not going to scroll back all the way. Should I scroll back? Let's see here. I think it was Norma said, hi, hello, Bob. I think swimming is a beautiful sport and it is very healthy. So Norma mentioned swimming. I think swimming is a sport that's just very good to do. I think it's a good sport. This is the question from Shad that I never answer. In one live stream, people wanted me to say whether I liked Messi or Ronaldo or Pele, who was my favorite football player, soccer player of all time. And I will not answer that question because it makes people angry when you say the wrong name. So my favorite hockey player is Wayne Gretzky, former hockey player. Let's see here. First Boy says, how do you feel about chess and checkers? Wouldn't you like to play live with me? I think it would be interesting for everyone. I have not played chess or checkers for a very long time. And I don't really have time to play online games, but it does sound fun, First Boy. Let's see here. We are done. That is the end of the lesson. A few minutes early, but that's okay. I hope you enjoyed this lesson about sport. Remember, a shorter version of this lesson will come out in a couple days, and it will have better English subtitles. And so if there are parts of this lesson where you didn't quite understand what I was saying, and subtitles, English subtitles will be helpful, do watch that again. And certainly just listen to it again or watch it again for your own sake. Repetition is a great way to learn a language. So you should be watching things twice, or at least watching it once and then even just listening to it a second time. Very, very helpful. Remember, there is no live stream tomorrow. It is the 4th week of how I do things. I do 3 and then I take a Saturday off. So there will be no live stream tomorrow, but there will be a new video on Tuesday, and I will be back next Friday doing a live lesson again. Hey, I do want to say bye to a few people. Thanks to Todd and Dave for moderating. Thanks to Rod, the English teacher. And I know Brent from American English with this guy popped in earlier. So nice to see you too. Bye to Ario. Bye to Todd, the Canadian. Dave, the Canadian. Lolly is here. Bye to Audie. Bye to Mickey. Bye to Julia. Let me scroll back. Bye to Lemon Cute. Bye to Judith. Bye to Riddy. Bye to Al Gore. See you, everybody. There are a lot of names in here. A lot of people. Bye to everyone. Let me just put it that way. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. I hope this helped you learn a bit of English. Don't forget to click thumbs up if this helped you a bit. And if you didn't watch Tuesday's lesson, it's around somewhere. You can search for it. Tuesday's lesson was a lot of fun to make. I talked a little bit about more advanced ways to talk about time. Let me put a link to that put a link to that in the chat. You'll see that pop up in a sec. Nightbot will have a link. And there you go. Want to learn advanced phrases about time? And then there's a little button there, a little link there to click. Click that, and you'll learn a bit more. Anyways, bye. Have a good day.